Welcome, welcome, welcome,
Peace.
everybody. What up, Raj?
What's up, Affion? What's happening, bro?
Come on, man. We've been this actually, man. I gotta be real. It started from when me and you jumped on a couple lives on IG and just having that conversation about music and the love for music. So I'm just like, yo, I would love to be able to build and get some like minds in this conversation. So who better than Talib and Royce?
And I mean, them conversations we had, I was like, I would leave them conversations thinking about what we was talking about, and you would actually make opening my mind up to see things in different ways. But at the same token, I love the back and forth we had. I mean, a lot of things was in agreement, but then you still have somebody who loved the culture like yourself and like me, who don't agree on everything, which is dope.
Right,
So
right.
yeah,
But that's what it's about, right? I mean, hip hop is such an individual sport, right? Even though, we all have tried to create these standards and, old heads always talking about what the young cats need to be doing and all of that, but it's still such an individual sport. Like nothing is sanctioned about hip hop. Nothing is structured. It's just what it is.
yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it so fresh and continue to evolve and alive is that it is no really rules to it. But then again, it's some things that we did for a while hold as standards, and things evolve and change. So
Yeah. So I got y'all both here, right? We waiting on Royce to join, but I got you and Talib here, right? Two of my favorite MCs of all time, and I'll tell you why. I know it sounds like cap to say something like that, but I'm honored first of all that y'all are homies, but at the same time I'm a fan first, and so the first thing I want to ask both of you, and the reason why I want to get all of y'all on here is I want to see what the through line of greatness is. The commonalities in both of y'all minds and your approach to the art form. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what this conversation is about, and how we all love this same culture. But starting out for each of you, who was it someone in your family that was like entertainment based, or somebody that inspired you before the culture hit you?
Well, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? For me, uh, my father was sort of a college DJ who collected a lot of vinyl, and so when I started listening to hip hop at an impressionable age in junior high school, the popular hip hop was sampling the records that was in my father's record collection. In addition to my father being a DJ and me having access to all those records that I was hearing sampled in the popular hip hop at the time. My father was also an actor when he was a kid. He acted in movies with Sidney Poitier. My grandfather was an actor. My grandmother Javoti was an actress. My grandfather was in Nothing But a Man and The
Mm,
Wiz. My grandmother was on what's that soap she was on? Um, damn, Guiding Light. And so for me, it was always possible. And also growing up in New York City, I don't take away that impact. It was always a possibility for me to make a living as an artist. And I know a lot of people don't have that experience to whereas they could see artists making a living like that.
right. That's key. What up, Royce?
What up? What up? What up, y'all? How y'all
what
doing?
up, Royce? Yeah,
Welcome,
but
welcome.
one thing, Kweli mentioned that he was in the Wiz. He's in the Wiz as an infant.
What?
Yeah, that's called nepotism.
Yo, son, you was one of the little Munchkins joints
Nah, I was
on the motorcycles.
when when Lena Horne was singing and you got the babies hanging around like the stars. I
Yeah,
was one of
yeah.
the babies. I used to get royalty checks from the Wiz for like 30 cents.
hey,
Yo, I'm
hey,
gonna try to find.
hey, you gotta find. Hey, Clyde, that's one of my favorite movies, man. That like, hey, Fion, when we talking about things that for me that made me feel like I could be something or wanted my entryway into music. My mother didn't
Uh-huh.
play no music around the house. My stepfather, he played some gospel music. Nobody in my family was playing music like as musicians.
Right.
Um, but it was me hearing my babysitters records, they had Minnie Riperton and you know, they had Earth, Wind and Fire and Shaka Khan. So you know, that was part of just like life and culture. But then seeing people like Michael Jackson and the Wiz and seeing everybody, it really made me wanna be something like that. It was more about like I want to be something. Like, to be honest, I thought I was gonna be a hooper, you know,
Right, right.
but you know, I think poetry was the thing that linked me to like, oh, I can actually be an artist too, because I was loving poetry in grammar school. I was like loving
Right.
it. I was like, man. So that was my first way of being like, oh, I could actually be an artist is through this writing. So indirectly, something that I think Kweli and I have in common, and Kanye as well, because we all were on the panel together with our mothers. It's like our mothers are educators, and that,
Right.
to me, that gives you a foundation to be like a lot of things, to be honest. And anything dealing with words and writing, you're gonna have some type of good foundation. And I think, you know, that for me has been one of the things I can attribute to me being a writer.
Yo, y'all just gave me so many gems and facts. I'm gonna go put a beard on all the babies in the Wiz and try to find which one is Talib. Royce, I'm asking about family. Like, did you have anyone in your family before the culture hit you and before you discovered you know, hip hop and your love for it? Did anyone in your family inspire you first?
Uh, yeah, my dad played the bass guitar and the piano, like with a keyboard, and he sang bass in a group. So and then him and my mom used to argue all the time. So she would like go, yeah, she would like go in her room, like he would go hoop and shit. Like he played in like 20 and over leagues, 30 and over leagues. So he would always be going and hooping and shit. She would be in her room with the door closed, with like Janet Jackson's album just blasting. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So it's like all of that moody stuff just banging out, coming out the room like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was damn near like the first way that I was programmed to kind of like take in music. You know what I mean? Taking it
Yeah.
in as there's a purpose to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just listening to it for fun, but listening to it to get you through tough times and stuff like that too. I kind of learned that kind of early.
Uh-huh. Yeah, a direct correlation between the passion and the distraction of it, the numbing that we use music for, right?
Yeah, I learned that it can do many things. It can service
Man,
many things. You know what I mean?
right.
So, I mean, me and my brother used to do the routines. You know what I mean? Like run and DMC.
Yeah.
Then Cool J came, and that was it. It was a wrap. After Cool J came, it was over.
Yo, my family used to have me and my siblings in the living room in our pajamas performing for their drunk friends. We was doing the Silvers, the Jackson 5.
Same.
Yeah.
My dad used to make me do the I'm bad routine
Ooh,
for all his friends.
I
yo,
would pay
Royce,
good money to see
I
that
knew that
footage.
one. I knew that I'm bad just blew my mind, man. Man, to this day I know I can do some of that, like that video. It stuck with me.
Especially
LL
to do
came
the
and just lit it up, man, like in a different way, man. He deserves to be talked about as one of our greatest MCs,
A
artists ever.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah,
I don't think his name gets brought up enough in those GOAT conversations.
I agree.
And he's he's the first artist signed to Def Jam. He's still around and he's elevated the game as an actor, as a producer, and he's still an MC. Why doesn't he get brought up in like that top 5 conversation more often? I
Yo,
don't.
I did
people be saying that Royce looked like LL Cool J.
well they used to say that when I was younger. You know what I mean?
LL got an album with Q-Tip that he been working on for the last year or so.
And I've been
What?
hearing that it's crazy. I did a lengthy post about L, a real lengthy one, because I've been feeling the same way. And I came to the conclusion that like he's more important than he is anything. You know what I mean? Like he's got to be like the most important rapper ever. Like the most
Yeah.
important. He's just done everything. Like if you're a child looking up to him, he can
Yeah,
influence you to do many things. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts. Facts.
yeah,
you won't be limited looking at him. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing he hasn't done.
yeah.
Facts. I feel the same way about LL, the same way I feel about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in basketball. Like, he don't get brought up enough in those GOAT conversations. And he got all the stats. He's got it. Like, he's the guy, but
Mm.
don't
Yeah,
get
I
brought
don't
up
know too
enough.
much about basketball. Y'all all three know way more about basketball than I do. But I do know about Kareem's dedication to the culture in addition to his excellent basketball play.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely was like, you know, a lot of people argue, like, I mean, obviously Michael Jordan for me was the best player I ever witnessed in my life, but he should be in the argument point blank. Like, he should be in that, and I understand why you're saying L should be in people's top 5, and you don't hear that a lot. Like, you don't hear LL's name, but as what Royce said is a real great, title for it. If not the most important, one of the most important artists, hip hop artists ever, MCs. Man, that's the truth. Because honestly, that was he was one of them. Him and Most and Latifah was like, oh man, I can act too, man. I'm about to
Yeah.
go pursue it. Yeah, they gave us hope, man. They was opening doors in different ways. So
Ice-T, yeah, same
yeah.
love. So who was y'all, each one of y'all, who was y'all guy? Who was y'all's the MC that when y'all first was like, I gotta be like this guy? When you when you were first starting out, whenever that was, or even before you decided to be an MC, um, just as a fan of the culture in high school, middle school, who did y'all look at like, y'all want to be like this superhero dude right here who's an MC?
I mean, for me, it was a mix of junior high school. It was a mix between KRS, Rakim, and Big Daddy Kane. But out of them three, my personal style related to KRS the most, and I look at KRS as my personal mentor in this shit. And I feel like my style is an amalgamation of early Ice Cube, Q-Tip, and KRS-One. And I feel like if you take
Mm.
those three styles, that's what the basis of my rap style is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely. It started with LL for me. Like, I always wanted to beat LL Cool J. I wanted to beat him, but like, I didn't want to start writing raps until probably Redman,
Mm.
somewhere around Redman, and Nas,
Mm.
Razzcast.
Mm-hmm.
I love DLC from the West Coast a lot too.
100%.
Yeah, I was kind of gone on him, and I went through an E40 phase that helped me with my writing early on.
For
Like,
Shigadale.
yeah, because he was like the first person that I heard do really interesting things with the pockets. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like, I kind of started having a better grasp of rappers getting in pockets when I went through my E40 thing. So it was a lot. It's a lot of people for me.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, when Quan was mentioning his three, them was the three that really affected me. Big Daddy Kane, KRS, and Rakim. I think when I heard Rakim was the first time I really was like, man, I want to be a rapper. Like, I was writing already. Like, I wrote some raps, and some of my cousins' older homies, we was like, I was rapping for them and like having fun with it and wanting to be like Run DMC and LL, but actually saying, man, I want to be a rap. It was something about Rakim finding, like, it felt like he had found his voice, and I never heard anyone that was like using their voice in that way and like also thinking different. He started saying stuff that I wasn't up on. Being in Chicago, I wasn't up on the 5% Nation and stuff. So it was like hearing some of what the way he was thinking, and him talking about eating fish and stuff like that. It was like, damn, it
Which is my
really was
favorite
affecting,
dish.
you
Yeah.
know. So and then along with that, KRS, I would say KRS was, put it this way, at any moment in time, I wanted to be Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, or KRS. If
Right.
I was riding in the car today talking to a brother driving the Uber, and I had to say probably KRS. If I had to like go with one right now, like just going back, I've been listening to a lot of the '90s hip hop lately, and it's like I've been listening to a lot of Rakim and a lot of KRS, and both of them. But KRS, the way he switched styles and the things he taught me, I'm like, shoot, I still remember certain books of the Bible because, or the descendants of Abraham, because he
Right.
was like,
That back,
Abraham was the
back.
father of Isaac.
Right.
Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob had
Right.
3 sons. You know, yo, that's like, come on, man. That's the
The
teacher.
teacher. That's the teacher
The
in
teacher.
real life.
Yes.
Um, okay, so and I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna just jump right into it. The three of you all literally blow my mind with your output. Y'all are 3 god level MCs in my opinion.
Give thanks.
Legends,
Thank you.
and
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Give thanks.
it's to the point where y'all put out so much content. I don't have any more time to digest it all. Like literally, y'all have joint albums. Like Common, you got August Green, you got your solo stuff. Talib, you got joints with Styles P, whole collab albums. Royce Prime 1 and 2, and it's so many. Slaughterhouse. Where do y'all find the time to continue to be great and put out so many words over so many dope beats with concepts and storylines? Where do y'all find the drive to continue? Because y'all all been in the game for I would say some decades now, right?
I mean, I got to thank my brothers here. First of all, Affion, thank you for facilitating this. You and me, as you know, we go back. You got bars too, in case
Yeah.
people don't.
Mm-hmm.
I tell a
Thank you,
story
sir.
often about how Common was my favorite MC when I started my career, how I chased him down to get him on Restoration. And then Common has become one of my best friends in this business, one of my most frequent collaborators, someone who has taken me on tour. And so I pushed myself to be more like Common when I first started in this business. And then when I see Royce producing his whole album by himself, winning Grammys at this stage in his career, you know, or getting him nomination. I don't even know if he won the Grammy, but at least he got the nomination or whatever. But like when I see what Royce is doing lyrically, you know, I look at that. I've always been an MC who throughout my career, competition has served me well. I've always compared myself to other MCs and competed with other MCs. But after I turned 40, I stopped competing with other MCs and I started competing with myself. And when I started competing with myself, it made it easier for me to pay more attention to what other MCs are doing and giving them their flowers. And that's what, you know, even me being a part of People's Party has been allowed me to do that, to have these in-depth conversations. I mean, all 3 of y'all, thank you, by the way, have been guests on my show, People's Party. And the conversation I had with Royce on People's Party, Royce been on People's Party twice now. So the conversations we've had, he the only one who's been on twice. So the conversations we've had has made me, when I hear Royce, when I hear Common, Beautiful Revolution, Common's, you know, Beautiful Revolution, he got Jessica Care Moore opening up with a poem. And in her poem, she's talking about my son Justice in her poem. We all push each other. When I hear my son get a shout out on Common's album, that pushed me to be like, I got to get back in the studio. How Common got a shout out for my son before I do?
Yeah, I'm the only rapper who's been on People's Party twice, so that kind of makes us a satire. We like a satire now. But I don't even I think I told myself when I first got sober, which was 8 years ago, I told myself I wasn't gonna just do shit no more. Like anything that I do, I just want to be real purposeful with it. Anything that I do, you know. So now I could write raps, you know, like I can pretty much give it to you however you want it, you know what I mean? But it's hard for me to find fulfillment in just writing raps just to write them, or rapping just to rap, or not rapping about anything, because I went a lot of years doing that. So now it's just whatever drives me, whatever I'm feeling. Maybe something in the world, maybe I'm sitting around for a year or two not writing anything, and then something comes to me. You know what I mean? I just kind of move like that. And I can always be inspired by other artists too. Like if somebody comes and does something cool, or
Right.
that I feel is important, you know, it don't have to be like the most devastating lyrical, you know what I mean? Like if it's something
Right.
important, or it's something that I felt like, oh man, that was a good move. That was cool. That always encourages me to do something.
At what point do you all realize that y'all are 3 of the best ever? Or do you is it hard for you to grasp that? Or do you, like, at some point you talk your shit like, nah, I really do this. I've been tested. I've been on tracks with other people. I get the accolades when I go out at my shows. Like, at what point, or have y'all gotten to that point where you realize y'all are 3 of the best to do it?
I don't look at myself like that.
Yeah, you do.
No, I
I'm just
don't.
fucking.
No, I
I'm just
don't.
messing with you.
I mean, I can talk my shit like with MCs, you know, especially the ones that's younger than me, because I feel like it's kind of like my job as an OG to push them and
Right.
inspire them and help nurture, you know, like help them achieve things and get into places that I wasn't able to. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of like a passion of mine, but really I just look at it like we can all get better. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
just and then too, like it's really subjective. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff we just at the end of the day, when it comes to legacy, there'll be some things that the fans can kind of they can put out there as and it'll be subjective, and then there's certain things that are just factual and just is what they are. You know what I mean? So
For sure.
I just look at it like that.
Yeah. For me, man, I never feel like I made it. I never feel like, man, I made it. I made it. That's just not like, I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel like that. I feel like it's always a room to grow, to get better. And as Kwa was saying, like, you're always learning and hearing other people doing things, whether it could be rap. Sometimes, honestly, I can hear Kweli DJing and be like, get inspired because he playing music that either some things I ain't heard, I'm like, wow, what's that? Or it's something I'm like, damn, I forgot how great the music can be. And, you know, like, if I hear Royce on a verse and it's like, yo, this dude snap. Like, hip hop is, you still can be thriving in this. So that in itself is a reminder for me. It kind of reminds me of my purpose in it. And my purpose evolved, to be honest. You know, it's times where I'm gonna feel like if I'm around and we all rhyme, and I'm gonna try to be the best. That's just what it is. That's just my mentality. I don't know, you know, I'm an MC like that. But when we step away from each other, I ain't gonna be like, yeah, I'm the best, man. Yo,
Right.
this is what it is. It's
Right.
just more like for the art, when it comes to the art, I'm in that battle type of, or even just you rhyming with a bunch of people. I want to be the best. I ain't that's no joke. But when I get down to making albums, and it's about what I'm feeling, what I'm inspired by. What can I say artistically that's almost beyond the music? Like, what is like this is it's music, but what energy am I putting out in the world is what I and then the best part of that is what's allowing me to continue to make music. You know, something you asked earlier that I got to give some love to Black Thought about. Man, one day I was talking to him, and it was at the Roots picnic a couple years ago. It got rained out, and he was like, "Rosh, we've been doing this for a long time, man. Just rhyme, just rap." You know, because I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to trying to, you know," because I looked at some of my albums. Man, I took a long time to make albums. You know, like I ain't
Hmm.
gonna lie, it took, you know, but within the past 2 years, especially this last year, I've made 2 albums, and I just was rhyming, letting it pour out of my heart. And part of it was just me being inspired, me also just being able to focus on rap, but just me also saying, man, I'm an MC, I can rhyme, I'm gonna do this, and just not overthink it. So I think I try to answer both questions in one, but that's where I am.
Right.
Dope. Qua, what about you? Do you see yourself as one of the best, or are you still striving and growing?
Um, yeah, I I feel honored and privileged to even be in this conversation with two people I consider the best. And for me, I always feel like, it's an old adage, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And so I try to look at life like that. I try to compete with myself to make myself get better. The reason why, I think, to answer your other question about the output, part of the reason why I got so much output, because I always feel like I can do better. I
Hmm.
always feel never enough. I always feel like I haven't reached my best potential yet.
That's dope. I
Yeah,
mean, look, as a comedian, it's the same conversation. People run up to me and say, "Man, you should be at this level. You underrated." They say all of the things, right?
Mhm.
And for me, it's like, or some people run up to me and be like, "Man, you one of the goats,"
Mhm.
whatever that is. I feel like I'm just starting out every day. I literally feel like I'm just starting out. What can I do today to add on to my legacy or to build legacy? I don't. In my mind, I never arrive. at this point where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fold my arms, b-boy stance, and it's time to just reflect on what I did. I don't even look at what I did. People will remind, say, yo, that thing you did back in the day, or that thing you did last week. I don't even remember because I'm just
Right.
forward thinking and just trying to create something new and dope.
But hey, Fion, what you just said is it just struck me because I remember that so many times people used to come up to me and be like, man, you should be this. You should be bigger than what you are. They should be putting, and man, some of it sometimes felt good, and then sometimes you'd be like, damn, should I be? And then I started being like, no, I'm right where I should be, like I'm where I should be, and I know it's other artists out there that they're more popular, but once I got that like under my belt and started understanding that, I was able to do what you're saying, just move and be present and move forward and not like dwell on, man, this should have happened or that should have happened. And it just takes time for us to get there. But I love that all of us as artists are really sitting here like, yo, we got to get better.
Yeah. And I just locked into that thought process this year, that wherever God got me right now is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm not going to define my success by this man's success, that woman's success. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be for this reason. And I'm going to embrace that. And it's all love. So this topic leads me to the next, and I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I interpreted this whole moment differently. Moment of clarity, Jay-Z, produced by Royce's man Eminem. So there's a tie-in here. So Jay-Z says, if skill so truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I sold 5 million. I ain't been rhyming like common sense. What I heard from that, most people would be like, he took shots. But what I heard from that was him taking shots at the listeners, at the audience, saying, these are the guys who I rocks with and that I aspire to be. And then, I'm listening to these dudes lyrically and saying, I got to be better. I got to be more like these guys. And commercially, y'all don't buy into these guys. So I'm going to dumb down for you guys, my audience, and focus on the commercial, even though we know Jay is one of the nicest to do it, right? First of all, how did that song impact you both? Was it negative? Was it positive? Or did you see like, he just shouted me out, like I'm gonna capitalize?
I mean, for me, I felt like it was absolutely a shout out, and I completely agree with your take. I think that Jay is smart enough to understand, audience's taste, and there's a conversation to be had about right now. There's a lot of the younger hip hop fans who are taking a stand against capitalism, which I feel like is an interesting time, because hip hop has always embraced materialism, and capitalist ideas from the beginning. But these are young Black people who just now got this money, and they got it from being artisans, or from trading ideas and building things that with their own hands and in their own minds. So is it fair for us to sort of blame the Jay-Z's and the Diddy's for the world for the state of how capitalism can affect our communities, or should we be celebrating them as independent thinkers and wealth builders? And I think Jay-Z was talking about the difference between being a businessman and being an artist. I think he was bigging up Common. I think he was bigging me up. And I took it as a huge compliment. And it made me feel like if this man at that point, he had tricked us into thinking he was going to retire. So
Right.
I was on this man whose last album, and he definitely tricked me, because I flew from LA to New York to go to Madison Square Garden to throw my diamonds in the air for that last concert. Echo tour the next year. So, but on the last album, on a song where he's talking about his father, Jay-Z never talked about his father before on records like that. When he's thinking about his father and his legacy, and for Common's name and my name to pop up in his head at that moment, I took that as a huge compliment.
Yeah. I have to say, man, when he said my name, that was the first time my cousin called me and was like, man, Ross, you made it, man. You're doing something. I was like, and he said, and I was so happy he said me and Quiet. It's just, I ain't gonna front, I was geeked. And even for the people that tried to geek me up and be like, man, I ain't dissing y'all, or why he bringing y'all up, like in that form, I was like, man, that's love, bro. That dude just said he want to rhyme like this, but hey, he's also like about getting this money. So this is the route he chose, and I respected it. I was grateful that he mentioned our names. It honestly made some people who probably were putting us in a box be like, damn, Kweli and Common, they cool. Jay-Z, you know, that Jay-Z stamp
Yeah.
is a
Oh,
real stamp.
I got a lot of people. I feel like I got fans at that era who became my fans just because they felt like the cool thing to do was to be a Kweli fan. It's like Jay-Z said we wearing button-ups, we wearing button-ups. Jay-Z said we listen to Kweli, we listen to Kweli.
He had that much influence, point blank. Like when he started talking about not wearing the what was the joints they used to wear, the baseball
Yeah,
joints.
Right.
the throwback.
The throwback. When he said he
Put
doing
on a
button ups,
button
you
up.
absolutely he had that much of a following. So for him to say our names, it brought awareness, it brought respect, and you know, to this day I feel like he was hovering around. He wanted to have some of that, like you know, just that culture, like and be conscious with his music too. I believe at some point, because he was like lyric, I'm the Che Guevara, and just he would
Yeah,
say certain
that's
things.
how I took it. I took it
You,
like that.
yeah, you know, so I was
A
grateful,
little
man.
Mia in these modern day times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself. I was thinking to myself that he was trying to say that he would want to be more positive, and he would want to be because like y'all two, man, y'all represent the art form. You know what I mean? Like in its purest form. You know what I mean? So it's like that's kind of like it juxtaposes commercial, anything commercial. Even though you guys are extremely successful, it's still people can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of pointing that out and pointing out the fact that he's really intentional about selling some records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Facts. And who's gonna knock him for that, right? None of us. And Royce, to hear Redman shouting you out, like I know he's one of the greatest to ever do it as well. But to hear him shouting you out on IG, riding in his whip, like how did that feel?
Man, it's one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me. You know what I mean? I think as we grow in this, like we start to get a better understanding of what we feel success is, because it's really subjective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So to me now, the older that I'm getting, the more that I'm realizing how precious that the memories are. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like especially going so many years, getting super drunk every day, and not really
yeah.
having a whole lot of, you know what I'm saying? Like not really taking a whole lot away from those years. And
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, like being sharp and focused and coherent and alert. And then that happens. And it's just like, it's something that I can probably get Alzheimer's and I still wouldn't forget that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm super proud of you too, man. I know we talked offline about this maybe a couple years ago, but the whole sobriety journey and you know what I'm saying, like
Thank you,
it
man.
touched me because you know I lost my father earlier this year to that, and that was his journey, that was his battle with alcoholism, and you know liver finally gave out, and it's something I used to hide, but now it's like it's therapeutic for me to be able to talk about it. But I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
you pushing therapy, not pushing it in a forceful way, but just making it aware that you humbled yourself and you was like, no, I got to go to therapy, I got to get sober, and I feel like it's definitely made you a more incredible artist.
Thank you, man.
100%.
Thank you, bro. That mean a lot
Yeah,
coming from you. I appreciate that.
hey Royce, I want to, man, honor you and say respect too, because it take a lot, you know, as us as black men and where we all come from, Detroit, Chicago, Brooklyn, wherever, you know, like as black men to come out and say, man, I'm gonna do therapy and I'm going sober. Like that's so against the grain of what we've been taught to do, like what's been passed down from us, from uncles, from fathers, from big homies to like all of it. And to be able to have the courage to do it and show that type of leadership, like that changes, that can help change generations, man. Point
Mm.
blank.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah. We've been programmed wrong, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and I still even kind of notice it with my son's generation. They got that thing where they still want to know. They want to come across as knowing everything. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to not know things, man. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like it's like the
Yeah.
information generation. You know what I mean? And it's like that can be to your detriment. And it's just like with our generation. It was the tough guy shit. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
was like the pseudo souped up tough guy. That was like the measuring stick for cool. And like suppressing feelings, not being able to truly articulate the way you feel about things, normalizing really, really messed up stuff that you either witnessing or you going through, and then just and just including it into your life as normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
And going about it like it's nothing. And then you get coming to the music space or Hollywood, and everything about Hollywood and the record business exacerbates everything about you that's hiding in there that can be messed up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
it's kind
Facts.
of like a weird crossroads that we come to that, a lot of us don't, a lot of us aren't able to like survive that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Word.
All right, yo. Time is ticking. I know I could have this conversation for 8 hours if possible, but we can't. I want to talk about collabs, right? I want to connect the dots. I know a lot of Talib and Common's joints, but Royce and Common, Enough Beef, Sway and Tech. I got two for y'all. I got Wishing on Prime and I got Enough Beef. Am I missing one?
Yeah, I think it's just those two.
Yeah, them too. Yeah.
Okay. And did y'all do that like were y'all able to vibe with each other, or was it like, y'all in separate places and just do your verses separately?
Man, I gotta get in the same room as this guy, man, before we lose him. Before he be like, all right, y'all, I'm retiring. I've done it all. Like, I haven't had the honor to be, like in the same room, man. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of like swap ideas and just kind of like, like inquiring minds probably think alike anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certain artists, man, it's cool. It's cool to like email shit with certain artists, man. But some people, like the Commons, the Black Thoughts, you know what I mean? Like it's you want to be able to create a memory around that type of situation. So you definitely got to do it again.
I agree, man. Like that I had to get used to the sending thing, like sending the songs, and cause all the music I created, like it was with people that I just like vibrated with. Like I got to know Kweli when we first, like he said, he came onto the tour bus, but I got to know him somewhat, and obviously the music spoke for itself. He was rhyming, he sounded dope, and he knew most. But my point is, they came out to Chicago, and we went in the studio together. Like y'all took the train out to Chicago just as a trip, and we just vibed in it. Like that is something that I always cherish. And like you said, Royce, those are memories that I like. Man, a lot of things in my life I've experienced, but I remember those moments and cherish those moments. And I like creating like that. Like most people I create with, man, I'm next to, or we've experienced some things in life together, because it's a soul connection. I feel like it's a sacred thing doing songs. But the truth of the matter is, like I have so much respect and reverence, and Royce was so dope. We like, look, let's do what we got to do. But I mean, I agree with him. I would love to be in that room creating, because plus you just be learning, man. Like these experiences, sometimes, man, it ain't even just the song, man. Like it's the song, but then you gain like conversations you had with people, and like they might be talking about something they doing right now, and you're like, damn, that's okay. So I mean, my point is like I like to experience life with artists and people that I respect, minds that's been on a similar journey to me. So I would love to get us to be in the room just creating.
You
So I
know
would,
what you just made. You know what he just made me think of, Affion? The
what?
first time Dilla played me some beats, he had a little crib.
I was just about to go to the Dilla conversation as
Yeah,
Common was talking.
I went over there and he played me some beats in the basement. I think I asked him, can I get some water or something? He was like, yeah, just go up the stairs and to the left. I go up the stairs, I go to the left, and it's just Common sitting there on the couch in the it's like either the living room or something. And I was like, it scared me. You know what I'm saying? Because he was just in there just chilling, like no socks or shoes on.
Right.
And I was like, I called whoever I could think to call. Like, this dude just got Common sitting in his crib. Common is just sitting here, like just chilling.
Just chilling upstairs near the water
chilling
with his feet out.
Because you got to remember back at that time, there wasn't really a such thing in Detroit as like a musical in the hip hop space, it wasn't a such thing as a music celebrity. Like I told my wife's mother that I wanted to be a rapper, and she was like, a what, honey? I was like, a rapper. She was like, you mean like the ones on TV? I was like, yeah. You know what I mean? So it was, seeing you, man, I was like, bro, this dude Dilla made it.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, you just really answered the question. I was going to ask what Dilla meant to you, Detroit. And I know, Common, y'all was roommates and y'all created my favorite Common album, like Water for Chocolate. Talib, I know you and Dilla close as well. And our mutual friend Dave New York, who
Rest in peace, Dave New York.
rest in peace, Dave New York.
Yes, Dave New York. So
I think and the anniversary of that day is coming up in a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, if y'all want to talk Dilla real quick, I know he's hard to suppress into a short amount of time, but like, just what he meant to the culture, meant to y'all.
I mean, Dilla's he's our Nina Simone, James Brown, Bob Marley, John Coltrane, Aretha Franklin, all rap in the hip. He is our spiritual guide, our mentor, our godfather, and speaking for the collective that I'm associated with, whether it be Common, The Roots, Yassine, Q-Tip and them, Badu, D'Angelo, we were all trying to, at the point around those Soulquarian sessions, Electric Lady Time, we were all trying to get to where Dilla was at, and he was our guide on that journey.
Dope, incredible.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I was young, I heard about him. You know what I mean? I seen him riding around in like a Land Cruiser. I knew he was official. You know what I mean? But I didn't. This is me looking at it in retrospect. I didn't really take advantage of what he meant and who he was like I should have as a young artist with the access that I had to him. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where it's like I didn't even realize how crazy he was with it until I started actually getting into the sonic part of my creativity, you know what I mean? Like, and that which came later, you know what I mean? So it was just like, I look back like, damn, I wish I could have just had like conversations with this dude about just making beats. I wish I could just watch him make a beat.
Yeah. For me, he was like, people ask me, man, who was the best producer you worked with? And, if I take away just like, forget about record sales or popularity, like he definitely for me was like the most gifted producer and probably one of the most gifted artists and people I've been around. But then he was just also like, as a person, he had all these dynamics to him that I would just be like, this dude would, he would be aware of the most, jazz or, alt rock type stuff. But then he was Detroit, going to the strip clubs with, with his chain and his truck was important to him. And at the time, I was like on my super earthy, like, yo, man, like, yo, don't say, but we related because it's just like, I loved him. He was my brother. I'm from Chicago. I wasn't denying that, but it just was like a beautiful thing for me to see a human being that wasn't afraid to be himself, to be honest. Like, and as much as he was down with me, Quiet, Tip, and most, he still was gonna rhyme like a Detroit cat would, like, or what he was about. Like, and it was incredible. Like, and they group, man, Slum Village, as Quad said, we man, like, during that whole time, everybody wanted to aspire to get to what JD was doing. And also just, man, that's why I had to make all them trips to Detroit. Like, I wanted to be there vibing with JD, like point blank, just sitting there watching him. He would send me some BCDs like he was sending everybody else, but I was like, no, I need this specially cooked for me. Like I want, like I need that. And he was able to, he just was down, man. Like, one thing that showed me his personality early on, I got introduced to JD through Q-Tip. We was at this vibe conference, and it was like Q-Tip was like, man, come over to the crib. I went to his crib, and JD was sitting there like going through these records. And I never would have known this dude rap. He was so quiet. He was sitting on like Indian style going through records. I'm thinking this is another artsy dude. Then I get to know him, and he like, yo, a Detroit cat that just vibe. But the thing is, at that moment, maybe a couple of months later, Daylight was playing some of his music while we were on tour, and I was like, man, I got to get up with this JD cat. And man, this dude flew himself out to Chicago and laid beats down for me. He paid for it and just was like, yo, just take these beats. To this day, I wish I could find those songs, but I don't know where we laid them or any of that. I don't remember, but it just was like, man, he cared about the music. I don't know if I've met any artist as pure as he was about the music, man. Like, you know, like he was about that music. I love Dilla, man. I was thinking about talking yesterday to the DJ Dummy saying, man, I was playing one of this Dilla joint called Yesterday, and I was like, man, it'll never be another like him. Like, when I hear that music, it take me somewhere else, man. It's very spiritual, and it's just like, golly, man, he was sent to us, man. I'm grateful we all, whatever experience we had, I'm grateful we all got to have that experience and be witnesses to the music.
I just want to add that real quick, just to big up the Midwest, because that juxtaposition, that being able to go to the strip club and wear chains and have big trucks and be on all that, but still be artsy. I find that with you, Common. You used to be Cornbread Com. You know what I'm saying? Like with Cornbread Com too. Like with High Tech, with Royce, I see that, and I see that in Dilla. And when you say about the music, the time when Dilla did 2 tracks, Quality out, and that was the era where I was like, nah, you got to come to New York and work with me. Everybody came to Platinum Island except for Dilla. I had to fly out to Detroit. And when I flew out to Detroit, Frank and Dank picked me up in the cocaine white. They had a long fur. They had furs. They had bottles of Hennessy. And they was like, Dilla instructed us to show you the D first. They drove me around all these little spots. And then that night, Common, you was at the Grammys with the Roots and Badu. Everybody was on stage. Everybody was it was the first year that our type of hip hop was getting love at the Grammys. And Dilla was integral to the productions that y'all were winning Grammys or being nominated for Grammys for. But Dilla was in the basement with Kareem Riggins working on beats, watching the Grammys on TV. He wasn't out in LA with y'all. He was with me. I watched y'all on TV thinking he should be out there getting his rewards and his accolades, but he didn't care about that. He cared about making beats.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah,
that's beautiful, man. And I had my experience. I never was able to meet Dilla, man. But I met Illa J through Dave New York, and when I first met him, he had Dilla's whole studio in the house in the hills in L.A. And he played me a lot of unreleased Dilla stuff, and hearing it through his speakers, through his system, it just was like my face was balled up for that whole hour and a half that I was in there. And you know, he's my favorite producer, like, you know. And so just to be able to hear that,
he's unexplainable, bro. Like
unexplainable.
And it's like he went with Q-Tip. Like I think he signed his production company or they partnered up in some sort of way. But usually when something like that happens, like you start hearing the person like get better and better and better and better. Like he's literally always been that good. Like everything that everybody hears, his beats they always sound like that, bro. Always. As far back as I can remember, I never remember a time where his beats didn't sound like they were from another planet, bro.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pivot real quick. We about to close out, man, but I want to ask you all about the power of reinvention, because I feel like y'all have mastered. I mean, Common, you acting and producing, you got an Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Quad with the podcast, and like y'all are so Royce too with podcast. Y'all have mastered the art of reinvention and just staying around and staying fresh. What does that mean to you? Or is it something that you constantly think about, or is it just that every day you wake up and you just want to do better?
Well, going back to the first question you asked about the rappers that influenced us, Royce was saying, you said who was a rapper that before you even wanted to write a bar? And Royce said, I want to be like LL Cool J. And when he says that, I think what he says is that it becomes the whole vibe of who LL Cool J is. And so I don't feel like I'm reinventing myself. I feel like I'm just being who I am. I'm Talib Kweli in the MC space. I'm Talib Kweli. And some people get mad because they think that they know me in the MC space. And I bring the same energy online, and they don't like that. They want to hear that energy on the beats. They see me online without the beats. You know what I'm saying? But I bring the same energy to the podcast space. And it's funny because I've seen people be like, yo, I like Talib Kweli's music and I like his podcasts, but I don't like when he's talking online. And I'm like, okay, well, the difference is that you're reading that in text. You're not hearing me over a beat. You're not hearing my voice, but it's the same dude, the same energy. So I don't feel like I've reinvented myself, but I feel like certain platforms, and that's why I don't go on Clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, if they can't take what I say in text, they don't want to hear me in Clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't think I'm reinventing. I think I'm showcasing every part of myself.
Yeah, I kind of feel like to add to what Kwa is saying, it's you know, in this business we get taught to not really embrace ourselves like that, who we truly are like that. It's kind of like a lot of us come into the space and we got like we create something on some level, person or identity wise to convey to people. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think as we get older, we realize how important it is to just embrace who you truly are, live in the center of your truth, and just try to get better as an individual. I think those natural changes will just happen. Those pivots, they'll just naturally happen on their own. Like me getting sober was a pivot. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So it's like,
yeah,
it wasn't, I think anytime you kind of like try to plan it, people can kind of hear that, they can see that, and they don't mess with that. You know what I mean? But when
yeah,
it just happens and it's cool. People, because people like organic, you know what I mean? And when you are along with longevity comes the pivots. It's just part of it.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe, you know, I'm very grateful that I grew up around my homies I grew up with, because they would talk about me. You know, we talked about each other, but we knew we had love, right? Like it was like a love, like it still was like love. Meaning, if I did something eccentric or different, I would get talked about, but I knew I had a foundation where they, you know, I still could be me, and I think that allowed me to go out in the industry and not be like, well, let me try to be this other person, or man, this didn't work for me, so let me figure out what they're doing. I I think the thing of longevity and just growing is about being able to know who you are at the moment too. Like know who you are at the moment and be truthful with who you are and be able to express that in the purest way. And and then that's why it's different times in my career. You'll get an album like Resurrection, but then you'll get like Water for Chocolate, or you might get, you know, One Day It All Makes Sense, which was, I was about to be a father. So I was just talking about like what was on my mind. And I also was looking to try to expand and not just only use loops and stuff. So, and I had to be truthful with myself, even with no idea. It may have been like, yo, you need these beats. Like, and that same thing happened with Electric Circus. Like, Dylan then was like, yo, we want to give you these hard beats. And I'm like, nah, I need something. Like, I'm listening to Pink Floyd, man. I'm listening to Jimi Hendrix and Radiohead. I need this out here. And then, and I just was being myself at the time. And I think the truth of the matter is something what Royce said, and kind of what Kwa said, is when you do that, at the end of the day, it's you know, you evolve, and people sometimes within that process, they respect you for being able to be you. They might be like, they might, so many people was like, Electric Circus, man, why did you do that, blah, blah, blah. But that was just part of my journey. And I think people can respect you for being that, especially as they evolve themselves at some point, you know, and they ain't even got to evolve in the same way, but they can still say, yo, man, like, man, I respected you for doing that. And I think also, like in the thought of reinvention or just continuing your artistry, it's also finding things that you're about. Like who are you? Like you're not, just because I rhyme don't mean like I can write a film too. You know, and I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
study that and write a film. I could use, so I think we grew up thinking you kind of got to be one thing, but we started
Mm-hmm.
seeing others who were able to do multiple things. And my thing for me has been do the things that I'm passionate about. Like the things that
Mm-hmm.
like if I didn't think I could be a great actor, I wouldn't be working on acting. You know what I'm saying? Like I tried to play the piano and I'm not a great piano player. So I ain't gonna keep trying to do that. Like, I mean, I'll try to mess it up. But the point is, you gotta go to things that you're passionate about too. Cause obviously within that, you get that feeling of like, man, I'm purposed to do this. I can do this and contribute something good to this art form and culture. So I think for me, that has been some of the things that have helped me to evolve in this business industry, whatever we want to call it. You know,
It all
Mm-hmm.
goes back to LL. It all goes back to LL being really important,
go
and
back to
everything y'all
LL.
just said. Yeah, he
He
inspired
reinvented
all of that.
himself at like 21. He was like 20.
Facts.
It was like 21,
Yeah,
21 with
exactly.
his first reinvention. I'm like, dang.
Right. He was in Drink
Exactly.
Hard with James Woods.
Right. So before we close out, man, it was an honor to have all three of y'all here. It was, to imagine the three of y'all in the same platform in the same room, and that y'all showed up for me. That means a lot to me. That means a lot.
Oh, come
Considering
on.
who y'all are, considering y'all schedules and all that. And I got more Affion combos on this Facebook Live audio chat. So those of y'all listening, make sure y'all tune in for the next few I got coming on. In closing, I didn't really get to go through all the collabs I wanted, but I got to do a shameless plug here. 1999, Common Talib, Sadat X. And Talib, you didn't really do a verse on there, but 10 years later, I sent you 2009, and you jumped on with me. So we did a
Yeah.
mixtape collab. And
I
so I think
forgot
I'm
about.
yeah, and Red Matic did the scratches on it.
Yeah. A shout out to Harold Hunter, who was from Zoo York, who was in that video walking down the street. All my skateboard heads will know exactly who that is. I was so proud to be in that video with him.
But yeah, man, thank you for jumping on that. I think I'm the first comedian to get a collab with Talib on record.
And thank you for jumping on that Black History with Strong Arm Steady and all the
Oh,
other done.
I kind of bullied my way onto that. Remember you
Yeah,
sent me
you
some
did.
you sent me another track. You was like, yo, Abe, do a verse on this one. And I heard the Black History and I just went and cooked up. I looped the end and remixed it and put a verse on and they kept it and we shot a video.
Yeah.
So,
That video
hey man.
sucked, by the way. That video was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't the concept that we wanted. But whatever, man. In closing, man, I just wanted to give y'all all flowers real quick and say, last time I was on live with Common, I told him he reminded me of our hip hop Marvin Gaye. And what I meant by that was
With how he
Common
dressed.
represents. What'd you say? What'd you say?
How he dressed.
How he
You
dressed?
ever
All of
dressed
that.
Marvin Gaye?
The knit hats and all that, the crochet pants.
The beard.
The beard, yeah, but all of that, right? He represents the soul,
Mm-hmm.
and the people, in the same way that I felt like Marvin did.
Yes.
Talib, my analogy for you is Donny Hathaway because your
Oh, man.
voice is so key. It's very signature, and like Donny, there's not a lot of people that would want to get on the same song with him because of what he can do on that mic. And so that was my analogy for you. And Royce, you Sam Cooke. You got the edge, you got the talent, you got the skill set, and you got the pain in your music that you translate into beautiful art. And I just wanted to give y'all flowers, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. And that's it, man. Go make some more money somewhere else.
I'm
No doubt.
changing my name to Sam Cooke. So thank you.
We'll take all that. We'll take all that. But thank
Yeah,
you, brother,
I'm
for having
Sam.
us, man. We love
Please,
you,
please
man.
refer to me as
You're a
Sam, man.
bad brother,
Sam.
man.
And thank
He
you for
said,
taking
Sam.
the lead, Affion. Thank you for the verses recaps. Thank you for the Devin Samuels. Thank you for taking the lead on how independent artists could use their platform to really bring eyes and attention to what they're doing artistically.
Yes,
Man, I
You're the
learned
man,
from
bro.
all three of y'all too, man. Just know that I study y'all's moves and just how y'all keep everything fresh, relevant, and insanely talented. So
thanks, bro.
salute
Man,
to
I
all of
love
y'all,
I
man.
love all y'all brothers, man. Thank y'all.
God,
Yes, indeed.
love y'all,
All right,
brother.
man. Peace, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right, everybody that's still listening, appreciate y'all listening in, tuning in. Like I said, Affion Combos will continue on this platform, and we'll be back with the next episode. Check my IG, and you'll see who the next guest will be, and we're going to keep rocking. Salute. We out.